All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get us started in our webinar this evening. We are so excited that you're here to attend this time. It's all about ReadSpeaker, and we've got a lot of information to share with you, a lot of practical tools that we hope you can walk away with applying something new that you have learned to your studies. But we welcome you. We thank you for joining us. I know that being a student is busy. You have a lot to do, and you have made time out of your week to be here and to take advantage of the resources that are available to you and to learn something new. So we appreciate you making time to pursue that with us. I'm just going to start by introducing myself. My name is Megan Jones, and I am the Accessible Education and Resource Manager here at LAPU. And I am joined here by Emma Cameron, who is a success coach. Hello, Emma, here at LAPU. Emma is going to be alongside me tonight to help with all of the questions and chats that you might be wanting to share. She's going to help me keep an eye on that. So speaking of, as we get started, just a couple housekeeping things to guide us along the way. We highly invite you to make usage of the chat. Feel free to post your questions, your comments. Please feel free to engage in the conversation in the webinar with us. And I invite you even now, if you would like to. We'd love to have you introduce yourself, share how long you've been a student at LAPU, and have you ever used ReadSpeaker before? If you'd like to share, feel free to pop in, and we welcome you to be with us. Another thing just to be aware of is to make this webinar experience as accessible as possible for you. There is a live transcript captioning feature that is available. If you take a look at all of the buttons along the bottom of your screen, there's several different controls that you can utilize, including the chat. There's also that CC live transcript button that you can activate to show the subtitles and change the settings and customize those if you'd like to. So if that provides a better learning experience for you, please feel free to make usage of that. And final note is we are recording this webinar. Don't feel pressured to need to remember everything that we're going to demonstrate and talk about tonight. Feel free to sit back and listen. You can take notes if you'd like to. If you want to log into your class and utilize the tools while we're going through, if you learn better that way, please do what works best for you. But this will be made available so that you can go back and watch it again. All right, so with that, I see you all popping in the chat. Thanks for doing that. It's very exciting. I'm going to share my screen with us all and present a couple of slides for us as we get started. So I just want to set the stage and explain what ReadSpeaker is as we jump in. As I know some of you may have utilized this before in your courses at LAPU. And some of you may not know what it is at all. And so I'm going to start at the beginning and lay some foundation and talk about ReadSpeaker right from the start. And I've got an image here that shows the way that you're going to see this primarily in your courses. You're going to see this block that's on every single page in your courses that says, listen to this page using ReadSpeaker. And there will be a listen button that appears for you. So that is what that looks like. Here's some goals for us in this webinar tonight. This is what we are looking to cover and accomplish together. I'm going to talk about ReadSpeaker and explain what it is and what it does. I will talk about the benefits of text-to-speech reading. What is text-to-speech reading and why is it helpful for your learning experience? And I'm going to jump into the tools and do a live demo of the main features that ReadSpeaker has to offer. There's two components to it, the web reader and the text aid tool. And so I will explain what those things are and show us how they work. Then I'm going to show you a bunch of tutorials that we have available in your My Courses site for further learning and further practice. Make sure you can find that to keep learning and check out more. And then we'll have time for questions at the end. If you have questions along the way, please, as I've mentioned before, feel free to post those into the chat. I'm giving Emma full permission to answer those by responding back to you, by kind of hanging on to those and helping me answer them at a few points where I'll pause and give us some room for questions. And we might, have some at the end and time left at the end as well. So Emma has full permission to even stop and interrupt me if I need to demonstrate something one more time, or I need to clarify something in the moment while I'm showing it to you, then she has the authority to field those. So feel free to make usage of that. Okay, so what does ReadSpeaker do? What is ReadSpeaker? This is just a quick snapshot to give us a brief introduction, but it is an incredible accessibility tool that is available to all students in their courses. And there are so many accessibility learning options that are available for you to use. The primary feature of ReadSpeaker is the text-to-speech reading experience, which is that synchronized highlighting while you read so that you are actually able to see the text with highlights happening along with it while you're hearing it also being read aloud to you, kind of like karaoke style, if you're familiar with that. And in that, there are so many ways that you can customize that reading experience that we will look at. You can adjust your font, the colors that you're seeing, the size of your text, the voice that's reading it to you, the speed of which things are being read to you. There's lots of things that you can adjust to customize to make the reading experience the best for you. There is a text mode feature, which is really cool, that allows you to kind of declutter your page with all the icons and images that you might be seeing so that you can just hone in on the text itself and customize the way that it looks. And it will highly be beneficial to you. There's a page mask tool, which serves as like a reading ruler for you to just kind of hone in on a certain line that you want to read. That helps with focus. You can download the text off of the pages as an MP3 file or an audio file, where you can listen to this offline or upload to a playlist if you'd like to. There's a dictionary tool. There is the ability for you to translate into one of 19 different languages if you are a multi-language learner and having translation is beneficial. That is something you can do. You can use ReadSpeaker as well with open educational resources. So as some of you might be familiar, you have free links and PDFs for your textbook that are just embedded right into your class. And you can download those files often and actually upload them into ReadSpeaker to read them that way. And you can use ReadSpeaker to help proofread some of your written work as well. We'll talk about all of that in more detail, but just to give you an introduction. And next, I'd love to share about the benefits of text-to-speech reading. As some of you may have utilized this a lot before in reading that you have done, some of you maybe have never used it or never tried it. And here's kind of the thought and the theory behind text-to-speech. That when you are actually visibly reading the words on your page and listening to it at the same time, you're engaging two senses in your reading experience, both your sight and your sound. And this is called bimodal learning. And here's what the research shows, that when we engage in bimodal learning, our comprehension of what we understand from what we're reading, it increases from us understanding or comprehending about 30% of the material, which is the average, to about 60 to 70% of what we read, which is extremely significant. And for some of you, you may have a specific learning disability or something that impacts your reading experience where it's hard to focus, it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to remember. You have to read and reread things over and over again to understand the content. And text-to-speech is a game changer. It's a complete game changer according to the studies that are going on out there to help with increasing focus, reducing strain on your eyes and all the screen fatigue that we all experience. And it's a benefit to all readers. So whether you identify with having some kind of reading barrier or not, this is something that benefits everybody. So we can all walk away with something to learn. Okay, I'm going to now shift gears and hop into demonstrating some of the tools. Before I jump into that, I'm going to check in with Emma and see if there are any questions or things that I can stop and comment on before I jump into that.
Not at this time, Megan. Just keep on going. Doing great, okay. By the way. It's super cool.
Thanks. All right. Well, as we shift gears, I'm going to start showing you guys some of these tools in action. And just so that you know, I am showing you from the course site tonight, as you will see. And I'm using IS2 101, our Success in the University course, as our test class for this journey. But this also works from mobile devices as well. So if you are accessing your courses from your phone, if you are accessing courses from a tablet of some kind, then you can absolutely access this tool right from those access points as well. Okay, so in simplest form, the listen button right here, it's appearing on the right-hand side of my screen. It's just as simple to get going with this to say, click to listen, and it will get started right there. I'm going to show you other ways to use it too. So I'm going, in just a moment, I'm going to activate that. And just to give you a warning, what it's going to do when you just click listen from any page, it is going to start reading the center column of the class. That is going to be what it's going to pick up on. It is not going to read the margins of the page to you. It is going to focus on the main content of the page. And when I click play, it's going to register like some computer coding, and it's going to register the progress circle that you see at the top of the screen, the overall progress percentage. And it's going to mention something about JavaScript. So please bear with that at the beginning. It takes a few seconds to read off that coding, and then you'll see where it actually picks up and starts reading the main text of the page. So here we go.
Progress 1/35 items, 3% complete. Your browser does not seem to support JavaScript, or it is disabled. An enhanced interface is available if you enable JavaScript. Success in the University. IS2 101. It is not necessarily the amount of time you spend at practice that counts, it's what you put into practice. Eric Lindros.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. So as you can see, sometimes it picks up on some coding at the beginning of the page. You just have to kind of disregard that, but it jumps right into moving through the course top to bottom. And as you'll see, the next thing I wanted to highlight here is that it scrolls down the page with you automatically, as you might have noticed. And now that we've activated the listen toolbar, it is no longer a listen button. As you'll notice, it's turned into an actual toolbar for you that has some really easy places to stop and start. Just as easy as it was for me to click play, you will have a button right here to click pause or stop if you want to turn it off. You can easily go backwards or forwards by 5 seconds. You can adjust your volume or your reading speed to make it read faster or slower. Or you can close this out altogether. Something else I want to show you is I'm going to go ahead and just click into week 2 of the course. And I'm going to click into the week 2 discussion that's got a little bit more text on the page. And you will notice that ReadSpeaker, oh, this is loading here. It's going to float with you down the page so that it's always visible, and it's moved over to the left-hand side of my screen. But let's say I don't want to listen to the whole page from top to bottom, start to finish. I just want this paragraph right here under the discussion portion. You can also just highlight an area that you want to focus on so that you can hear it read and click the listen button as it pops up.
Provide a minimum of 2 substantive responses to your colleagues either in writing or verbally by using the audio or video function.
I'll stop it there. So this is another way you can just highlight portions of the page that you want. And while we're here, I'm going to show you the other features of this toolbar. And this is specifically called the ReadSpeaker web reader, what we're looking at. And you'll notice it's got all of these bells and whistles here on the toolbar. On the left-hand side, there is a open and close toolbar button that you can click on. It's got 3 horizontal lines. It's on the left, and it opens up, as you can see, a whole bunch of other tools that are available for you that I'm going to speak a little bit about, most of them. This is the web reader. The full extent of the web reader and all of its tools is right here. And I'm going to start by clicking on the settings gear, which is on the left. The settings gear is great because as you can see, the text-to-speech experience, it's activated, it's working. You can actually go in and customize so many things about the way that that works. If you would like to turn the highlighting on or off, you can do that. You can select if you would like the word and the sentence highlighted, as you've seen, or just the sentence or just the word. You can actually get that detailed. You can switch up the colors that you're seeing. So this is the default setting, but let's say I'd like to look at my word color in this yellow shade, and I'd like to look at my sentence in blue. I can select that here. There are other settings that you can customize with the scrolling or the way some of the pop-ups work. And I'm going to go ahead and hit close, and it saves those settings for me. And as you'll see, I'm going to highlight something new and different here and hit listen. Let me try it one more time. Here we go.
Written response. The initial post should be approximately 300.
So you'll see that it's applied all of the customizations that I just selected. So settings is really great. Again, it's that gear symbol. If you don't like what you picked, if you play around with some settings and you wish it was back the way that it was, you can always click this Restore Default Settings button and it will clear everything out. Another thing to note is these settings will always save for you until you clear your cookies or your cache on your device. Once you've done that, it is going to wipe out all of the settings, just to make you aware. That is something too.
Megan, I'm going to use my interjection authority. So speaking of cookies, we have a student that has attempted to use ReadSpeaker and it's not working for them. Would they need to modify their cookies to use it, or do we have a tech support team? If I'm jumping ahead too much, I apologize, but
no,
where should they troubleshoot with that?
A great question. I would always recommend trying to clear cookies and cache as a first step. Restarting your computer or your device, clearing cookies and cache is a good way to just wipe out a lot of memory that's built up and stored that could be getting in the way. I would also recommend making sure that you're using Chrome as your browser, as that tends to be most compatible with our course site and everything attached with it. If there is further issues with it, you can reach out to our technical support provider, which is available 24/7 to get some help with that. There's also a way that we can have our course designers put in a ticket to address any issues there. So I would start by reaching out to technical support and letting your success coach in addition know about that as well. Great question. Okay, I'll let you chime in, Emma, if there is anything else that you need. But the cookies is definitely a factor that can play in here. And next, I'm going to hop back over to the toolbar once again. and talk about the voices next. So you can see that there are several different options available for you in terms of the reading language. American English, whether it's a male or a female voice, is primarily what you're going to want to stick with. You'll see that there's Spanish available, and I wanted to explain that a little further. This is not the translation tool where you see it says Spanish. I will be going through that in just a few moments. The Spanish voices are available if you are reading material in Spanish off of your page. So this might apply if you're perhaps taking one of our Spanish courses here at LAPU. This Spanish voice is going to pronounce everything that's written in the Spanish language with the proper tone and accent that is needed to have the optimal reading experience for that. Probably not something that's going to apply to you most of the time, so you'll want to stick with the English voices, but you can select and pick whether you would like the male voice or female voice, or whether you'd like to switch it up depending on what you're reading. I'm going to jump next to the text mode feature, as this is something that is really, really cool. I clicked on that, and just to go back and show this again, it looks like an arrow pointing up and to the right in a square here in this toolbar. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull everything on your page into a pop-up box, which I can maximize and make it full size so that it's everything taking up my whole screen. And you'll see it's cleared out all the margins of the page. It's cleared out a lot of the other visual things that you'll see so that you can just focus on the text. And I'm going to visit these tools up here, navigate to the top of this box where you can do things like increase the font size to make it much larger or smaller. And you can click on the text settings to do some really great stuff here. So in the text settings is where you can change what your text looks like so that you can just make this an easier reading experience for you if that's helpful. You can adjust the size of the font right here at the top of this window. The font, you have several different choices that you can choose from. I'm going to pick something really cool called the Open Dyslexic font. If you didn't know, there is a font called Open Dyslexic that exists in many places now that is a more compatible font for dyslexic readers. You'll see that it looks a little different, but the letters are constructed in such a way that it's easy for your eyes to make sense and decipher the words on the page. I myself have a little bit of mild dyslexia, and this font is helpful for me sometimes. But the research shows that the Open Dyslexic font, and I'm going to adjust, as you're seeing here, my text colors as well. The studies show nowadays that yellow text on a black background with this specific type of font is the most compatible for a reading experience of dyslexia. So wanted to teach you that in case you'd like to try that out and see how that is for you visually. But you can essentially change any of these features any which way you want and allow yourself to view it in a more compatible way. And then the listen button is right here for you. It doesn't want to cooperate. Let me highlight. I'm going to go ahead and just highlight this portion of the page and hit listen.
Provide a minimum of 2 substantive responses to,
and it will read it to you that way as well. So this is, again, text mode, a really, really helpful tool that you can take advantage of for your visual experience. I'm going to just restore the default settings once again and bring it back to what it was. And let me show a few other tools, and then I will pause again to see if there are any questions. So we've looked at the settings, we've looked at the voices, we've looked at text mode. Let me show you the page mask tool, where focus is a reading barrier sometimes, or there's just so much on your page that it looks so overwhelming and it's hard to visually take it all in. You can use this page mask tool to literally just gray out your entire page and hone in on the one part that you would like to read, even if it's line by line. And you'll see on the right side of it, you can hit the plus symbol to expand that, or you can narrow it using the minus symbol and make it smaller, or close it out altogether to get rid of it. But page masks can be a really powerful tool if you're looking at charts or tables or things that might be a little bit visibly difficult for the eye. That's a great tool as well. And then finally, I want to highlight the help button on the web reader. There's a question mark symbol that will open up a great pop-up window that literally explains every single tool on this web reader, what it does, how to use it in one snapshot. So please feel free to make usage of that as you would like to get a reminder. I'm not going through every single little thing on this toolbar, but that's a great place to go back and learn more. And then final couple of things here for us. I did actually want to show one more thing here, which is there's a download symbol on the web reader that has a downward facing arrow. And then when you hover over it, it says download MP3. This will allow you to download the entire page that you're looking at here. Again, the center column of it as an MP3 file. I'm going to go ahead and click on it so that you can just see what happens. It'll ask you to agree to some terms of usage. And then you will see as it's working here on my computer, it's downloading this entire page as an MP3 file. So if you want to save that to your computer and be able to listen to it, upload it to a playlist platform of some kind, iTunes, what have you, listen to it in your car or while you're doing something else, you have the capability to do that if listening is a great way to learn for you. Okay. Next thing I want to show, you might have noticed that when I highlight a block of text that I want to work with, as I'm doing here, there's a few other options that pop up automatically for you. One is the listen button, which will get you started with the text to speech. Another is a dictionary tool. So let's say I'm reading this and knowing I need to provide 2 substantive responses to my peers in the discussion. What does the word substantive mean? It's kind of a complex word. I'm going to click the dictionary tool, and here's a definition right here. It lets me know it's something that has important, meaningful, and considerable weight to it. Very helpful for the discussion forum. And let me show you the translate tool. This is so exciting. If you are someone who learns from another language, there's a translate tool that you can select. You can highlight your text and hear all of the languages that are available. Hopefully this captures maybe a language that is beneficial to you. It definitely does not capture every language that's available. But let's say I want to listen to this in Spanish. I'm going to go ahead and click on Spanish. It's going to take a second to load. It's really going to take a second to load. Yeah, it's tired on a Tuesday. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my page. You try to work with it one more time and see if it'll cooperate. Let me hit translate in Spanish. It may not be on our side tonight, but basically what it will do is it's going to bring up a pop-up window for you where it will have the translation in text written out of the sentence that I highlighted, and the listen button is available so that you can hear it read aloud in that language as well. You'll have to try it on your own. Okay, so with that said, that covers everything with the web reader. Before I jump into our next topic, I'm going to stop and check in with you, Emma, and see if there are any questions or things coming up.
We do have a question, but you may be about to cover this. So our question is, how would we use ReadSpeaker with an online article that isn't directly in our course?
I love that you're already thinking in that direction, whoever you are. There are ways that you can do this, which is exactly where we're headed next. And I'm going to show us what that looks like. So the web reader is great for everything that's already embedded into your class, right? As this tool is just built into the course experience. But there is a second feature to it called the text aid tool, which I introduced a little bit at the beginning. Text aid is going to be the resource you will use to be able to use this with outside things like outside documents, web pages, PDF files, articles that you are reading for your course, things from the APU library. This is all very relevant. So to activate text aid, what you're going to want to do is access the support resources folder in your course. It doesn't matter what class it is. It can be any class that you are enrolled in, but in the support resources folder, which I've just opened up, you will see a link that says text aid by ReadSpeaker. And the way that I remember text aid in my mind is that this works with everything in your course, but to use it with something outside of your course, you need an aid to be able to do so. So text aid is literally your system to do that. I'm going to click on text aid by ReadSpeaker, and it's going to open up the ReadSpeaker text aid panel. And there's a really great introduction video here that is always there when you access it. It's going to demonstrate all of the things that I'm about to go through with you in a very short and sweet way. So I highly recommend checking it out. But all of the same tools that we've been learning about tonight and getting some experience with are available here in text aid as well. They're just in this menu here on the left-hand side of the page in these different tabs. They're just organized a bit differently, and it can take a little bit of getting used to. But what I'm going to do is click on the library tab. And I can't wait to show you this. In text aid, when you access it, there's a library where you can upload documents into it to read with all the tools. So for example, I have uploaded, you'll see in my library, the Psych 105 Introduction to Psychology textbook is an open educational resource at LAPU. So it's provided to you as a free link. You can download it as a PDF, and I have uploaded it here into my text aid library. And you'll do that by using the upload document button that's here at the top. So I'm going to click on that to show us what it looks like. So you'll navigate to new document, and you will see that there are a couple different ways for you to upload something. You can upload a file saved to your computer, which is what I did here. You can also click on this tab that says from the internet, and you can copy and paste an internet address. Let's say you pull up a PDF while you're online and it comes up as a URL like this that ends in .pdf. You can actually just copy paste that here and upload it from the URL also, or from your computer. Either way works, but you'll upload that. You click back into the library and have those saved permanently for you here in this library. Before I take a look at our document, because I do want to show it to you, I just want to highlight, you can also connect this to your Google Drive, which works with your LAPU email account. So when you click on that, it will prompt you to log into your account, which it is doing for me. And once you have authenticated that, it is going to give you the capability of using that with Google Docs that are in your Google Drive to use that with, which is great. Let me just go back into it. Got booted out, so I'm going to go back into text aid once again from the support resources folder. And I'm going to go back to the library. And I've got my PDF textbook uploaded here. I'm going to click on it. It is going to take a moment to load the document. And here it is. So it's got some highlights that I saved to it earlier. but there is a button you can navigate to that allows you to pull up the table of contents for your entire book. And you can select the chapter of reading that you are assigned, and you can close that side panel as well. And you can look at this the way that it is, or also toggle and navigate to the text mode or the layout mode feature, which will either allow you to see the fancy published version, look and feel of your book, or you can look at text mode, which boils it down really simplistically as well. And the listen button is right here for you to go ahead and get started on using your text-to-speech tools.
Learning objectives.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick test there.
5.1 sensation.
Let me pause that. So once you have your document here to work with, there are a bunch of other tools that I will just point out a few things to be aware of for you. You can download this page as an MP3. You can also do that here for easy listening. The Tools tab, when you click on that, here's your page mask and your reading ruler tools are available. If you would like to increase your focus by just being able to move your way down one line at a time, you can utilize that too. There is an annotation tool. If you like to take notes or make drawings on things as you're reading, there's a great little toolbar that allows you to add those little notes and highlights there for you in annotating. There is also a highlighter where you can select some different colors and make some highlights. Let's say you want to color code some things. Maybe green is something that you want to use for something you want to come back to. Maybe use red or blue or purple for things you have questions about. You can do that. And then there is a really great button here that allows you to download, to collect and download all of your highlights. So whether you want to annotate and make notes on your page, or you want to highlight, there is a download feature where you can pull all of that into a separate document and print it out if you'd like to. Really great for your study techniques. And then if you'd like to play around with your text, change your voice, you can click on the reading settings that are available or the text settings as well. And you will see a lot of the same tools that we have looked at before that you can apply right here to the text aid when you're looking at separate documents. Okay, let me stop and check in and see, Emma, if there are any questions.
Yes, I have 2 questions for you. So just to clarify, the text aid can be used with files that we've either uploaded from our computer or links from a web page, and that would also include any ebooks from our library, correct? Or are there limitations there?
That is mostly correct. It is not going to work with ebooks that you are renting through another platform, through the bookstore like Vital Source or Red Shelf or something like that. But those platforms have really great text-to-speech reading tools as well, just so you know. This is going to work with anything that is embedded into your class itself or anything that you download from another site as like a PDF file, let's say, or a Google document.
Okay, that's clear. So the Vital Source and other platforms may have their own ReadSpeaker type resource available.
Yes,
Okay.
please check that out. The whole world is becoming so much more accessible these days, which is incredible, and designing things with so much more versatility. And a lot of platforms that offer books, period, do have really great tools. So if you're renting books from those other places and you're looking for more resources, I'd be happy to be available to help point you in the right direction there if you'd like to contact me. And I'll share my contact info at the end of this webinar, but great question.
And one more, if we have time for it. Will we have time during this webinar to talk through how this can be used with the My LAPU app or the limitations there?
Yeah, let me come back to that at the very tail end. Remind me, but that's
okay, will do.
A great question as well. Couple other things that I want to show you, and then we will have time for some of those questions here at the end. I did want to show you one other thing while we're here, and that is the new text tab. So I've clicked on that. It's just above library. And this is a really great tool where you can draft or copy paste things that you have written, maybe like a discussion post or something like that, a part of a paper. It has a dictation button with a microphone. If you are someone who benefits from being able to talk to text and have it capture your words as you're proofreading, that is something you can do through new text. So I'm going to go ahead and show that here. It is Tuesday and we are all in a webinar. And I'm going to insert that here into the text. So it works just like that. And you can go in and manipulate it. But whether you have dictated something on your own, or you have copied and pasted it on your own, I'm going to just play around with something here.
From.
Okay, it's reading a little bit. Sometimes when we write things,
I can see the birds form my window.
Sorry, it's activating a tool that I have turned on from earlier. But sometimes when we are drafting written work and we go back to proofread it, we read what we think it should be because that's how our mind sees it, and we don't pick up on certain errors. Maybe we are missing words or forgetting our spelling or something of that nature, and we go back and look at it visually and we may not catch it. But when we actually listen to something being read aloud with speech to text, we can hear where there's a word missing or where it's not pronouncing something correctly. And so here's an example of that. I'm going to have this read back what I just said.
Here it is Tuesday and we all in a webinar. I can see the birds form my window.
Okay, so I can easily hear that I forgot to put in the word are. We are all in a webinar, and I put form instead of from, which is a really easy mistake. And I can hear that it did not read that correctly. And so there's a spelling error. So for those of you who might benefit from using TextAid as a proofreading tool, it can be really helpful for things like discussion posts and whatnot there. And the final thing I'd like to demo before we take some more questions is how you use this with web pages. You guys have hung in there through a lot of tools and taking in a lot of information tonight. And there's just one other thing that is very important that I'd love to show you. And I'm going to click on the web reading tab. And what this is going to do is give us some options for how you use TextAid to read from a web page. There's a way to do it from your desktop, and that requires that you install a TextAid extension to your browser. That's the only way that it will work. It needs to utilize that browser to work with an outside web page. This also works from your mobile device. So you can select the instructions for what type of phone that you have and work from that. I'm going to particularly demonstrate how this works from a computer here. And I have this installed using Google Chrome. It will give you the link and the instruction to install it so you can follow that. But let's say I am looking at, for our purposes tonight, I've got the American Psychological Association with everything you need to know about APA formatting, which I know you are very familiar with. This is a web page that I'm reading. Maybe it was linked into my class. And what I'm going to do is at the top left of my screen, if you can see it, I do know that it's small. I have installed this extension to my browser, and I'm going to click on it. And voila, it opens up a ReadSpeaker toolbar right here. It says ReadSpeaker. It's going to have all the same bells and whistles of what we've looked at before, but this allows me to actually highlight text right here on this page and click listen.
Apostyle provides a foundation for effective scholarly communication.
We'll stop it there. So you can utilize this with articles that you are reading, web pages, things you have pulled up in the APU library, all kinds of different different places, and all of the same settings are available for you to customize that as well. So it does require, once again, downloading that extension, which takes, a minute or two to install, but that will allow you to do that here. I'm going to just show us one other resource, and then we'll move to questions. But hopping back over to our courses site, I would love to leave you all with information for how you can learn more. I know this is a lot to take in, and it takes some practice to be aware of all these different tools that you can use, and I invite you to practice. But in our course site, there is a really incredible helps tab at the top of the page that you can select something called course helps, which I'm picking here. Did you know that course helps has a whole bunch of helps about all kinds of things for your classes? Please make usage of this for all kinds of things. But we have an entire section here in the categories on the left devoted to ReadSpeaker. And this has some incredible permanent resources, which will probably include this webinar at some point, that go over everything that I have talked about tonight and more. You can access so many videos and handouts that explain all of these tools. I do have a feature recommendation document where you can kind of identify any particular reading barriers that you may encounter and what features of ReadSpeaker are most applicable. If low vision is something that applies to you, the tools to enlarge the text and to play with the text settings are going to be great. If this chart is too visually complex, which I can understand that it can be, all the same information is also in text format with bullet points. And there are videos linked into just about every bullet point that show you that exact tool that you will use to activate with that particular barrier. So please check out those feature recommendations. I have devoted a whole video here to how to use ReadSpeaker with open educational resources. There's a whole video just for that if you're interested. And there is literally a video for every single tool, every single button on the web reader. You can click through each of these topics and navigate through and watch an entire tutorial on that. The doc reader is not something that's going to apply much. I did not spend time going through that. Text aid and the web reader are primarily what you're going to see and need with our courses. Everything with text aid tool is built in as well, including videos for how you can go ahead and install the text aid extension as well, specifically to your device. Okay. I've gone through a lot of information. Let me stop. We have some time left now to just address some questions. I will start with the question that was already brought up, Emma, about the limitations or particulars of using this from a mobile device versus a computer. Obviously, with a computer, you're going to have a bigger screen to work with. So all of the tools that we've demonstrated are going to be more visible for you just in terms of the size of screen that you're able to work with. When you access your courses from your mobile device or a tablet, it is going to be smaller. I recommend looking at your pages in a landscape mode rather than a portrait mode because it gives you some bigger surface area to see the listen button and where it appears, but it's going to appear just like it does here in your computer experience on your phone. It may be located in a different part of the page just due to how pages are structured in a mobile format, but it does work. It is going to perhaps be harder to see in some cases, depending on the size of your screen. But all of the functionalities and the capabilities do work. And as we are growing and developing into being an even more mobile friendly university in all that we do, we are continually looking at additional tutorials and resources that we need to build to make this easier for all of the ways that you're using it in your class. So if you have feedback about that experience, I will invite you to reach out to me. I'd love to hear it and look at ways that we can create even more resources to help guide you through that experience, because I know that that is necessary to adjust from wherever you're working. But it is fully functional and has been tested on our side from the mobile experience as well.
Thank you so much, Megan.
Yeah.
We don't have any further questions in the chat, but I do want to put a plug out there. Anyone else, please chat in your questions. And Megan, I did just want to clarify again that after this webinar has ended, it will be available for students to rewatch and go over specific sections, correct?
Correct. It will be cleaned up a little bit and made ready for more public viewing. And because you all registered for this event, I have your contact information, and I will send you a notification personally with the email that you used to register to notify you of when that's available, and make sure you have a link to it as well so that you can check it out further. And I'll go ahead, I'll keep my screen shared for just a few more minutes in case anything pops up. But I did want to provide my email address for all of you. It is accessibility@lapu.edu. And I will task Emma with popping it into the chat for me so that you can copy it and note it down and save it. But if you would like some further assistance with using this tool, you have feedback you'd like to provide, you have questions about it, you want to know, how can I use ReadSpeaker with this? Throw it at me. I am here and available to be of support to you as a follow-up. So I would love for you to have a way to contact me. And on that note, I will be emailing a survey, a feedback survey to all of you that should take no more than 5 minutes to complete. It's very short and sweet, but I'd love to get your feedback on this webinar. I'd love to know what you learned. I'd love to know how we make it better. I'd love to know maybe what's one area that you can apply some of this to your studies, that you can try, that you've never thought about before. I'd love to hear all of that. So please think of maybe one takeaway that you have, and I'd love to hear that continual feedback. And again, I thank you all for taking time to be here and to learn and to be on this journey with us of all about ReadSpeaker. Any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and
no other questions, but we do have many thanks in the chat. And this has been such a wonderful resource for us. And I did put the accessibility email as well. And if at any time you feel like you are unsure of where to go to contact Megan or even myself, call the Success Coach Department line and we can get you where you need to go.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you all for being here. We will release you. Have a great rest of your night and a great rest of your week. All right. Take care.